If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos. Last updated on June 19, 2016, date, fall 1951 location, Dugny-sur-Meuse, France time, night summary. A group of workers was attempting to recharge the battery of their stalled truck when suddenly an orange light illuminated the area around them and they saw a luminous orange globe on the ground nearby. Suddenly from out of the globe, a tall beautiful woman stepped out. The woman was Nordic in appearance with long blonde flowing hair over her shoulders. She wore a blue robe with a belt and was smiling at the men. She was carrying what appeared to be an infant in her hands, which she caressed lovingly. Abruptly the figure vanished and the globe suddenly brightened up, taking on the appearance of a jellyfish. The witness felt a strange sensation of cold, as if being inside an icebox. Soon the light blinked out and vanished. The men left the area convinced that they had encountered the Virgin. Source: Raoul Robe. Regional Catalog date, fall 1951 location, Manila, Philippines time, afternoon summary. 6th grader Cornelio close from the Zamora Elementary School met in a nearby field. A beautiful girl dressed in white with long blonde hair reaching down to her waist. She was barefooted, about Cornelio's age, but she appeared to float, rather than walk when she moved beside him. Although the girl did not open her smiling lips, Cornelio was able to hear and understand what she said. When she touched his hand, he felt different, very light. He became unaware of his surroundings. He does not remember anything else from his first meeting with the mysterious blonde girl. He apparently met the girl numerous other times. With her, he was able to float around and traveled to many places in the city. He apparently obtained the ability to disappear at will. As he grew older, he apparently returned to normal. Source: Brad Steiger. Strange disappearances date, September 1951 location, Bloomington, California time, 2100 and 2115 summary. While sitting on the lawn outside their trailer park, Mrs. Louise McDougall felt someone was watching her. On looking up, she saw a flying saucer hovering, not 20 feet up. It was lenticular, perhaps 100 feet in diameter, and of a gunmetal silver, metallic appearance. In its lower half were tall rectangular windows, in which could be seen against an amber glow 4 men, in one-piece jumpsuits, with shoulder-length hair. She turned a spotlight on the saucer, whereupon it shot off silently at incredible speed. About 15 minutes later it was back, hovering in the same spot, the figures still visible at the windows. After 6 or 7 minutes it again took off to the southeast. Witness's husband and 3 others likewise saw it. Source: Recap and Lucius Farish date, September 4 or 5 1951 location, Withdean, Sussex, England time, 0630 summary. Sheila Burton, in her late teens at the time, was staying with her parents when she woke up at about 630 got out of bed and walked over to the window that overlooked the long tree-bordered garden from a height of perhaps 15 feet. Suddenly she saw something large and flashing descend at incredible speed onto the lawn. A large dome-shaped object settled down, panels like large doors opened and men got out from the fluorescent silvery craft. There were 3 men in all and each moved in a straight line across the lawn away from the vertical, central axis of the craft. They were 5 to 6 feet in height and had bald, Kojak-style heads. Each wore a dark green or khaki one-piece garment and held a machine gun-like device. These men continued walking for perhaps 30 feet, then stopped simultaneously and began walking back towards the craft in synchronization, re-entering their respective panels and disappearing inside. The panels slid across the openings, red flashing lights restarted and the mass shot upwards vertically and was lost from sight. The whole incident lasted some 40 to 50 seconds and had been in total silence. It had occurred so quickly that the witness had not even thought of calling her parents. The object was described as dome-shaped and fitted well into the large garden. Accordingly, an estimate of its diameter as about 40 feet and height about 25 feet can be made. Its color was silvery green, light green, or lime. As the men walked in their respective directions, they seemed completely oblivious of their surroundings and the witness. These men had appeared identical in every respect. Their one-piece suits included their feet, but ended tightly at the wrists, and at the neck in a mandarin collar. Their bodies were rather thin in proportion to their size, and their legs seemed thick but short. Their arms were long, with hands and fingers apparently similar to humans. Their faces were expressionless and odd. The nose was small and pointed, the mouth was small with no lips, eyes were small and deep-set, ears also were pointed. Their heads were bald and their skin was similar in complexion to humans. From their right shoulders, down to the left-hand side were thick, black bands which joined onto a stomach belt, also black, of the same thickness. Each held a device described as like a machine gun in shape. This consisted of a black cylinder some 20 inches long and 3 inches in diameter, rounded off at the rear end and pointed at the front. The devices were carried with both hands, but they appeared to do nothing with them. Their movements away from the object were as though they were mindless robots carrying out a pointless duty, this impression being strengthened as they all stopped and retraced their steps like a film played backward. Immediately they re-entered the craft, the panels shut, then the red lights started flashing and pulsating brightly and the vehicle ascended vertically. No physical evidence or traces was subsequently found. Source: Norman Oliver, Quest UFO Magazine and Buford Journal Volume 8 1 January, February 1979 Date, September 6, 1951 Location, Claremont, Caliph. E. of Hoy 66. BBU 964, Time, 7:20 p.m., GMT. Summary: S. Sergeant W. T. Smith and M. Sergeant L. L. Duell saw 6 orange lights in an irregular formation, fly straight and level into a coastal fog bank. Source: Berliner, FUFOR Index Date, September 9, 1951 Location, off North Korean coast, BBU, Time, 1850 hours local time. Summary: a high-speed target was observed on the radar on the USS Coney DDE 508, operating with Task Force 77. The object was tracked on a course of 225 degrees true, with a speed of about 900 knots for approximately 1 minute. The operator's interpretation was many bogies on a line of bearing perpendicular to the course of the target. The AN SPS-6B air search radar was in use and was functioning normally before and after the incident. Source: Jan Aldrich. Date: September 9, 1951 Location: about 50 miles off the coast of North Korea, BBU, Time, 6:50 p.m. Summary: radar tracking of multiple unidentified targets at 900 miles per hour. Source: Jan Aldrich. Date: September 10, 1951. The Fort Monmouth UFO case. Date: September 10, 1951 Location: 3 miles NE of Asbury, Sandy Hook, New Jersey, BBU, Time, 11:35 to 11:37 a.m., EDT. Summary: USAF pilots Lieutenant Wilbert S. Rogers and Major Ezra S. Ballard flying in AT-33 at 20,000 feet from Dover AFB, Delaware, to Mitchell AFB, New York, on an NNE course at 450 miles per hour saw a silvery metallic discus-shaped 30 to 50 feet object to their 11 o'clock position below their altitude viewed against the Sandy Point area and silhouetted against the ground. Rogers immediately turned left and descended to intercept the object, which then banked, revealing its flat round profile, no appendages, no trail, and curved in more tightly on the turn than the T-33, covering an estimated 30 to 50 n.m. in 2 minutes, about 1,000 to 1,500 miles per hour, and seen projected against the ground near Red Bank and Freehold, New Jersey, as the T-33 descended to 17,000 feet, accelerated to 550 miles per hour, and covering about 120 degrees of its 360 degrees turn during the sighting. The object passed within about 8,000 feet distance of the T-33, descending from about 12,000 to 5,000 feet and headed at high speed out to sea near Pt. Pleasant at about 120 degrees heading until disappearance. Source: Sparks. Date: September 13, 1951. Location: Goose Bay, Labrador, BBU 969. Time: 9:30:10 p.m. AST +0100Z. Summary: Two GCA operators observed what appeared to be three targets on the PPI, Plan Position Indicator, scope. Warner B. Moppin and Corporal John W. Green, both assigned to 1932nd AACS Squadron, Goose AB, were on duty at the local GCA trailer at the request of the pilot of AC-54, No. 5527, inbound from Westover AFB, Massachusetts. They arrived at the GCA trailer and turned the equipment on and were awaiting further instructions from the pilot of C-54 or the tower when the following sequence of events took place. Source: Berliner, McDonald Files, Jan Aldrich. Date: September 17, 16, 1951. Location: 3 miles NE of Marion, Ohio, BBU. Time: 12:17 p.m. Summary: Cessna pilot Grover saw a black swept-wing object at 2,800 feet in a near collision with his aircraft. Source: Project 1947, FUFOR. Index. Date: September 17, 1951. Location: Atlantic, Hudson Strait to Baffin Island, Canada, BBU. Time: 10:20 to 11:55 p.m. Est. Summary: USAF B-36 radar operator Major Paul E. Gerhardt and navigator Major Charles J. Cheever on a flight from Goose Bay, Labrador, to Resolute, Northwest Territories, heading NW at 208 knots, 239 miles per hour, over Hudson Strait, picked up radar interference which came from an unidentified aircraft at relative bearing 130 degrees, E, at 28 n.mi. 32 miles, heading away. The anti-jamming device on the APQ-24 radar was turned on at 11:20 p.m. but did not affect the jamming on the radar scope. At 11:35 jamming covered 120 degrees of the right side of the radar scope and then an unidentified aircraft was seen visually on the right side of the B-36, which was then at 18,000 feet at 65 degrees 40 N, 71 degrees 40 W, over SW Baffin Island. The object had unconventional running lights, all white instead of red-green, with twin white flashing tail lights, traveling about 30 knots faster than the B-36, crossed the front from right to left heading 334 degrees true towards the NNW, and was in view about 20 minutes, to a distance of about 12 miles. While the object was still visible, at 11:50 p.m. the B-36 autopilot and APQ-24 radar set went out, the latter returning after a few minutes about when the object disappeared. ECM operators S. Sergeant Donald E. Jenkins and S. Sergeant Doty T. Larimore on two B-36 flights from Goose to Resolute while still over Labrador the next day detected carrier wave signals at several frequencies and some radar-like pulses at other frequencies, all below 1000 MHz. Source: Jan Aldrich, CF. Hynek UFO EXPCH. 7, Case RV11. Date: September 18, 1951. Location: Empire AFS, Mitch, Elkhorn AFS, WISC, Finland, AFS, Min. BBU, time: 4:35 to 5:31, 7:10 a.m. Summary: Air Defense Command sites P-34 and P-31, P-69, respectively. USAF CPS-6B and CPS-5 radar tracks of 6,000 miles per hour, intermittent. Targets. Source: McDonald Files, Jan Aldrich, Grudge RPT-1, FUFOR. Index. Date: September 23, 1951. Location: near Long Beach Airport to Camp Pendleton, and March AFB, Caliph. BBU, time: 9:25 a.m. PDT. Summary: 2 F-86 jet interceptors were scrambled from George AFB, near Victorville, Calif. Then vectored by Air Defense GCI radar to a target. At 33 degrees 50 N, 118 degrees 40 W, off the coast about 30 miles W of Long Beach Airport, where the jets circled and headed E toward Long Beach when an object was seen at 12 o'clock high position at 7:55 a.m. in a left orbit at about 50,000 feet above the F-86s, appearing to be a bright silvery aircraft with highly swept back 45 degrees wings. The F-86s tried to climb to intercept the object, but it climbed away in response. Another 2 F-86s were scrambled from George AFB at about 8 o'clock as the first two were running low on fuel and were released to return at 8:10-15 when the second flight arrived. The second pair of F-86s was vectored by GCI radar to 33 degrees 20 N, 117 degrees 30 W, Camp Pendleton, arrived there at 8:10 at 43,000 feet, and circled. Spotted the object at 1 o'clock high back to the end toward Muroc, Edwards AFB appearing at about 50,000 to 55,000 feet in a controlled orbit right and left, appearing as a swept-wing aircraft, that sped up when the F-86s tried to close, and the object was found near March AFB, Riverside, to the NNW, but they broke off intercept because of low fuel at about 8:20-25, landing at 8:45. Third flight of 2 F-86s scrambled, at about 8:45, from George AFB. Saw the object shortly after takeoff seeming to be heading S as F-86s made climbing turns up to 43,500 feet under the round silvery object, at 55,000 ft over the San Bernardino Mountains, until breaking off intercept at about 9:25 am. A 7th F-86 was scrambled to the S toward Long Beach, but the UFO was gone. Source: Grudge RPTs. 1 and 2. Ruppelt pp. 94-5 Date: September 24, 1951 Location: near Orland Park, Illinois. Time: 2300 Summary: the witness was walking through a wooded area when he felt a burning in his neck and saw a silvery object ahead in the woods. It was silvery gray and oval-shaped. The witness felt paralyzed and two beings appeared at a window of the craft and asked him several questions. Under hypnosis he recalled that when he approached the craft about a dozen 18-inch tall beings walked towards him and jumped against his body, making high-pitched noises. They appeared frog-like and had large slanted eyes, with slit-like mouths and brown striped skin. A smaller bug-like being was also present. He ran from the area but felt heaviness and passed out. Later he continued walking and again encountered the object. Under deeper hypnosis, he remembered waking up inside the object lying on a soft bed while a light shone on his face. Two 5-foot-tall humanoid beings approached. They had flat faces, hidden behind transparent shields, and wore a one-piece suit with helmets. After the incident, the witness suffered from chronic ill health.